Music Business, What Is This? Is a podcast that focuses on the ever-changing music industry and presents issues and concerns that the average and above average musician has or will encounter. Hey everybody, my name's Richard Johnson.
And I'm Jeremiah Hunt.
And this is Music Business.
What is this?
In today's podcast, we're going to talk about playing music in restaurants. That's right. We all love food, right? We're musicians. I love food. Right?
I love food too.
Right. If you say music, they go hand in hand. Music, food. A very common place to play music is in restaurants.
Yep.
I remember being in college, out of college, playing plenty of gigs in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, there are pros and there's cons about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's just talk a little bit about the pros. The most obvious pro is it's a restaurant.
Right.
Right. If it's a good restaurant, hopefully you negotiate some food.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You want to eat.
Yeah.
We all want to eat. And hopefully that negotiation means free food.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't all the time. Sometimes it's at a discount.
Mm-hmm.
I've had plenty of times club owners say, or managers, usually it's the manager, who'll say, okay, we can't give it to you for free, but we'll give you 50% off.
Right.
Or something to the sound of that, so that we get some type of discount. Has that happened to you at all?
Yeah. It usually goes both ways. If they don't give it to you for free, they'll give you some type of parking voucher or like some discounted price or something like that.
Right. And usually the higher in the restaurant, it's usually a percentage. Usually.
Yeah.
Not all the time. And this is where your negotiating skills come in. And really the quality of the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of the both of them. I've found that if the food is really good, I don't mind paying the percentage if I want it.
Mm-hmm.
It also depends on the time. I remember being in college playing at this French restaurant. And the food was really good. It was French. But I was always hungry because there was never enough food.
Right.
Right? They bring me a plate of food and the plate would be 80% empty because the portions were so small. Food was great, amazing. But I could eat like 8 plates of that because it wasn't enough food. Right? So think about it when you're negotiating for food, right? They may give it to you for free, but they may reduce the portions.
Right.
Because you're a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you got to really pay attention, Go online, look at the sizes. Ask someone else who's been there so you have an idea. And the reason I say that is I recently went to a restaurant and it was a sushi restaurant. And the ad says 10 rolls of sushi. They brought me the sushi. Sushi was amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We had all ordered. They bring me the sushi. I look at the rolls. My personality, I counted them. There was only 9. All right. So he's laughing. I mean, that's just how I am. So I see 9 and the other people at the table with me. I said, count how many rolls are here. They all counted them. There was 9 rolls. I said, what does this ad say? It says 10, right? The first person says, who would even think to count the rolls? Only you would do that. And I'm like, I'm paying for it. I want my money worth, right? And everybody at the table was like, he's right.
Yeah.
So I called the waiter over. This is like a sitcom. I said, what's wrong with this picture? He said, nothing. Looks great to me. Is there an issue? Is it something wrong? I said, count these rolls. Counts the rolls. 9. I said, now what does this menu ad say? 10. Oh, I didn't know. I said, I'm not blaming you. You just brought it from the back. So I said, let me take it back and see if I can get you that 1 extra roll. All right. So they ended up making they had to for 1 little piece. So I ended up getting 2. So the reason I say that is look at your portions because you don't know how they're trying to get over on you.
Right.
right? So these all these little details which affect your pocket.
Right.
You may not see it as money, but it does affect you. All right. So food, that's one of the things that's a pro. Another good thing about restaurants is the connections that you can make with the audience. As an artist, we make connections with the audience, but normally we're on a stage, we're moved over. We don't connect until we're done playing. A lot of times in a restaurant, you're in a situation where there's a table right in front of you. You can actually talk to the people right there if you want, right? So I can take requests. I can give requests. A lot of people always say, hey, do you take requests? Do you know this?
Yeah.
I say, hey, if I know it, or I could do this song in place if I don't. But the reciprocal of that, a lot of people don't think about is I can give requests too.
Right.
Right? They just think because I'm playing, I can't do that. But you can do that. It's all about your strategy and how you do that. Someone may say, well, what are you requesting? Well, maybe they keep clunking their fork against the plate. You ever hear that in a restaurant? All the time. You hear it on famous recordings. Oscar Peterson, We Take Requests. Ahmad Jamal, all these restaurant recording gigs, which are classics now. But in the back, you hear people eating the forks and the plates, right? So if you can figure out how to ask that nicely, people will respect it. Right? Or you could just tell the manager. So there are pros to that. So your communication, being close, that's another good thing.
Yeah.
Another good thing is if you're playing at the restaurant regularly and you can have a space in the back, you may be able to leave some equipment. You know, if you trust the place and you know it's safe, that makes your work a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, if there's steps getting in and out, you know, because there's always an issue when you have restaurants getting in and out.
Right.
You know, if it's a fancy restaurant, they have glass doors. Where do you put the equipment? Where do you set up the equipment? You got to get there early before the people. They don't want you bumping into tables. There's all these things,
Right.
you know, so they can keep it classy looking. So if they have a space in the back, you may want to ask about that. Yeah, what do you think?
I think all of those are good points. I can't really think of any
Positive. You're like negative. He's like, I only think of negative things.
No, I mean, all the positive things that we talked about are actually really good. Like, I enjoy playing at restaurants because of those reasons. And the thing for me, playing at restaurants are the people are chill. They are in a chill mode. They're more inviting to, you know, for you can talk. It's easier for you to talk to the people because when you're sitting down eating, you can open up more. Usually like families sit down and eat together. So it's like they're in that mode where it's just like, you know, they're chilling out more. They're not like, you know, super attentive, but they're still like chill and it's like they can listen. So that makes it fun for me to just have fun with the audience, you know, if I'm a performer on stage.
Have you ever had a regular restaurant gig?
I had a steady every Wednesday for the year, or maybe it was just for like a couple months, maybe for like 6 months. Every Wednesday we played at Andy's Jazz Club here in Chicago, and that I got to develop my own band sound, and I got to explore my artistic side. And just to learn how to connect more with the audience through that gig. So that was a positive for me.
Yeah. I remember, let me think. I think it's, when I was in Boston, when I was in the Herbie Hancock Institute, there was this Italian restaurant and they had jazz. And I played there once and loved it. And they had a real piano. And I asked them, could I bring a trio in here? And they said, depending on, of course, the quality of music and the sound. I said, no, I think I have a pretty good idea. I can make this work. And we went in piano, bass, and drums. You know, I told the drummer, hey, you know, this is a restaurant gig, so we can't go gorilla on them up in here. Right. But, you know, you can work on your brushes, some sticks here and there. Man, that was one of the best gigs of my life. We played there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. And I did that for about 8 months. I felt like I was back in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
Playing the same place, same rhythm section. I would bring cats up from New York. So I would get bass players or drummers bus tickets back then, and they would get on the bus, and we had basses at our apartment, and I had a drum set, so they didn't have to bring anything. So they would come up, stay at the apartment. They'd have their own room, and we play every night. And they gave us food, great Italian food.
Yeah.
We play 3 sets of 45 minutes, and I had tunes we'd learn or I'd work on. I'd send it to them a week early. It was one of the best gigs ever, you know. So I have great thoughts, memories about restaurant gigs because I've been fortunate to have some really, really good ones. Now, on the flip side of that, I've been in some that have not been so pleasant. And it sounds like you have too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. So what was your experience with those?
I think one of the main things that makes a restaurant gig unpleasant is because the people who are eating feels, comfortable. They feel like they can talk more, and sometimes it gets to the point where they're talking over the music, and that can be a little bit distracting to, musicians who are, performing music that they really care about, and that they want people to hear. So,
here's the flip side of that, though. A manager or someone would probably say, "Well, you know what you're walking into. It's a restaurant. It's not a concert." So you kind of have to take that into consideration.
True.
When accepting the gig. And I think a lot of musicians go in thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get to play my Humpty Dumpty or tunes I've been working on."
Right.
Go in, and you may be able to get away with it depending on the instrumentation, but you may not. Sometimes I think people are actually listening more in restaurants than in concerts. And it may not seem like that because we promote concerts where you pay a ticket to see a band. But I tell people you have to remember the key word in this phrase is see a band. Right? So they're going to see you first and the hearing is second.
Yes.
When you're in a restaurant, they're not there to see you.
Right.
Like you said, they're comfortable. They're talking with their family members. They're there to eat first and then hear some music. Once they get their food, the music is secondary, right? And it's in the background to them most of the time.
Right.
And if they hear something they like or recognize, then it's like, "Oh, did you hear that song? Oh, I love that song." Okay. And then the requests start coming. Right. Right. And that's when it gets worse. Right. But I think we do have to remember it's a restaurant gig. People are there to eat, hear the music. Okay, I'm gonna play some tunes that don't get in their way. They don't get in my way. It's a relationship.
Yeah. Another thing that's annoying is I'm sure you've been through this where you're at a restaurant gig and you're waiting for them to turn the restaurant music
on. I didn't even think about that, but yes. Sometimes they don't even hear it and aren't aware. I've had managers, "Okay, your time's up. Your 15 minutes is up. Time to play." "Okay, sit down and play." "Why aren't you playing?" "Well, you haven't turned the music off." Start playing. "We'll turn the music." "Okay, so-and-so, turn the music off." "Well, how do you turn the music off?" I've had people like, "How do we do this?" Not even, they've never had to do that. I'm like, "Have you never had a band?" "No, we've had bands all the time. No one's ever asked you to turn the music off." And I actually believe they probably haven't. They probably just played over top of it.
Right.
Right. But that's very distracting. Yeah. So that is definitely a pet peeve when the music is on and you're like, "What?"
Man, I've had gigs where they haven't, they're asking them to turn the music off. We start playing. And then after the first tune, we're like, "Wait, is the music back on?"
Is that a signal? Right. Right. Are we that bad? Right, so what's going on?
Do you even want us
here? Right. Why are we here? Right. And in a lot of those situations, you find out it's not because of what you're playing. They want the visual.
Right.
And that's why I said music is a funny thing. There's the business of it. There's a huge component, which is visual nowadays. And it always has been, but now it's even bigger, right? The listening, I'm going to see a band. People don't say I'm going to hear a band. Think about it.
Yeah.
And we've been conditioned for that for 100 years.
Wow.
I'm going to see so-and-so, but it's a band, right? I say to people, and I'm like, yeah. So I say, you're going to hear the band. They say, oh, well, you know what I mean.
Right.
I do know what you mean.
But you didn't say
But
that.
you didn't say that. And we've been conditioned as humans over years. Think about it. That's just a standard phrase. I'm going to see this band. No, you're going to hear the band.
Yeah.
Right. And then people look at me and they say, oh, he's one of those.
No.
Right. But even though it's a small difference, it does make an impact on how people view what we do. Like literally view what we do.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're viewing, not listening.
Right.
Right. So you have to really think. Yeah, you have to really think about those things. Any other pet peeves that come to mind?
I'm sure there are many. Not that come off the
Sure, there's many.
I mean, I've had so many experiences in restaurants
Yeah.
since I moved to Chicago. You know, I've been playing in I would say 75% of my gigs were in restaurants.
Okay.
There are only so many jazz clubs that don't include food.
Yeah, that's
but
very true.
Most of them are in restaurants. So I'm sure I have a lot more, but not off the top of my head.
Here's one I just thought of. I'm going to play at a restaurant, and they put you in a corner. Okay, I'm not mad. It's a restaurant, and there's no power outlet. Where's the power?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's the first part of this issue. Okay. Now someone out there is saying, well, don't you have an extension cord? Yes, I have an extension cord. But now I have to run this cord to the other side of the restaurant. There's no rug that's that long. And the cord is visible. Now the club or the restaurant manager doesn't like it because there is a cord there.
Right.
But it's not my fault. You put us in this corner. All right. And then they say, well, this is an insurance issue. It's a hazard. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be in the corner. Right. Move us closer to a power. Well, we don't have space. We'll move the tables. There's several options, things that could happen.
Yeah.
But we can't do that. That's never been done before. It's that, or you have to deal with this insurance issue with the cord.
Right.
Now, the other part of that is, what color is your cord? The typical extension cord is what color?
Orange.
Orange.
Yes.
Most restaurants do not want an orange cord. Right? So those of you listening, I would invest in a beige extension cord. Sounds crazy, but if you look around this studio, what do you see?
Beige extension cords.
Right. Trust me, it will save your life. Get a beige extension cord. And with that, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Fortunately, I'm not hungry. It's always a pleasure here with Mr. Hunt.
And Mr. Johnson.
We're here. This is Music is Business.
What is this?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.
Don't be a hater.
This program is partially supported by a grant from the Illinois Arts Council Agency.